Okay, good afternoon. Uh, so I want to talk about night trips. Yeah, just in case you like a new rideshare rider. Let me just call you pilot, or you're thinking about going on night trips. Let me just give you my opinion on the matter. Yeah. Now, I'm going to talk about the advantages and then the disadvantages. I'll start with the disadvantages first. So, the most predominant disadvantages, of course, is a matter of safety, right? It's night, so there is definitely a higher risk of safety at night. Let me give you an instance of what some other person told me, a story they gave to me. I don't know how true it is, but that's the story anyway. So it was actually a passenger. I picked him up and then he was telling me that now he used to be a pilot and he stopped a couple of months ago because he was almost robbed, right? So he said, the narration he gave me, just let me quickly brush through it. So he picked up some two guys and then they headed all the way down to the airport road. After Lugbe, the road between the Lugbe, not, I said Lugbe, Kuje, after Kuje, the bridge leading to Kuje, and then in between that bridge and the airport road before you make the diversion. So, around that time, because he said it was around 9 p.m., around that time, the road is more scanty, right? You have very few cars coming around that area, unless, of course, there are many of them going to the airport for pickups or drop off. There's a flight or something like that. But when there's no flight or anything, the road is usually very, very scanty. You have very few cars coming around that way. So on their way, suddenly he said, one of the guys said he was pressed. They needed to stop so he could ease himself. So they stopped by the service lane, and then when the guy eased himself, he came back, and suddenly one was sitting behind him, one was sitting next to him in front with him, rather. So the one sitting behind him brought out a gun and pointed it to his head, and the one beside him brought out a dagger and was like, give me your keys. So he said he was trying to negotiate with them, like, bro, take the money, but just leave this car for me. It's the money maker. I cannot release it. Like, please just reason with me. It's street. I know we're all hustling. His words. So they wanted the car. They don't want his money. They didn't even want his phone. They just wanted the car. So he said there was a bit of a struggle. He got injured, of course, because he noticed that the person in the back didn't know how to use the car. Long story short, okay, he found the way, threw the key away across the road, and then, making it impossible for them to start the car or use the car. So luckily for him, there was some kind of a convoy coming. They could see the siren from far away. I think they were going back to the immigration office, according to him. So the guys ran into the bush. So he came back when he found the key, ran back immediately to the car and zoomed off. Now, after that moment, he said he just quit the business. He's like, nah, it was such an experience for him, too traumatizing to continue. So safety issue is always a concern because you can never get a very good look at who is entering your vehicle at night. You can never be able to assess them. You can never be able to know for certain if this person would be a security risk or not. Safety is the very first disadvantage of running at night. And secondly, you have the surge issue, right? Well, the surge means when you check your boat map, you see some places are red, some places are orange, and all that. That's the surge or the heat map. I don't know. Basically, it means that if you pick a person around that area, the prices are going to go a little bit higher than normal. Now, there is no surge at night, so that means you may have to work longer or harder if you are to make a substantial amount on that same night, right? You may have to work long because the ease of the business really is when you have surge and then you just pick a few people with the surge, you could literally make as much as you would have made if, let's say, you picked up 10 people. You could literally make the same amount in a surge if you pick up 4 people, right? That's how good the surge is, depending on the surge too. It's not all the surge that are quite useful. So let me give you an instance of the surge, right? I think one instance would be like, I think I've ever carried somebody from Buhari law school, not the law school, but Buhari area, all the way down to Gwagwalada. And I think I've gone to that same destination before, and the amount came around 5,000 highest, or 5,700. I've carried somebody, but not from Buhari though, but from Buhari it was around 5,000 and came without surge. So, but on that day there was a surge in Buhari, and I was opportune or lucky enough to get this person who was going to Gwagwalada, and then got there and the amount was literally 10,000. I even did it online, not offline, so it was like 10,000, you get what I mean. So you find those surge in the daytime, not at night. So that's one of the disadvantages of night trips. And another disadvantage again is still on the safety issue. There is always some police checkpoints around Abuja area, especially in the Wuse Central area, Maitama, and the rest of them. There are some police checkpoints there, and those police they actually know what they're doing, because they strategically place themselves in those areas where they know you might be picking up customers who are either going to a party or coming back from one, right? So they most probably have drugs on them. By drugs, basically weed or any other hard substance, I don't know. But of course, if you've been driving for a while, you can attest to the fact that you've picked up people with some drugs on them, and that's like a normal thing. So the police are always looking out for those things at night. In the daytime, you don't have those checkpoints around, right? At night, you find them just stopping people. They shine the torch in the car. If they find that the customer or whoever is in the car looks like a weed-bearing person, then they stop you, they search. If they find something, of course, you'll have to settle them. That's basically how it goes. So that is also another concern, because actually, as far as I know, it has never happened to me personally, so I'm not speaking from experience, but as far as I know from other people, what other people have told me, the customer is the one they often bill. Like, they tell you, you have to pay such and such, otherwise we'll take you to a station, complicate matters, and all that. But never the boat driver. But you never know, okay? Because like I said, I'm not talking from experience. What if the person implicates you? Because I've ever had one guy who was holding a weed, and then he put it in my dashboard. Not dashboard, the one they call pigeonhole, yes. So I didn't even think anything of it. I'm like, okay, he's just trying to protect himself or whatever. But just imagine if the weed was never found on him, but was found in the dashboard. That's my own vehicle. Definitely, they will not let me be. All right. So it's also a security concern. In that instance, you don't want to get into situations like that. It's probably going to ruin your entire day, or make you lose money if it gets too complicated. So that's another concern. Another concern, or another disadvantage again, is that you can't see very well at night. Your headlights will never be able to help you see as well as when you drive during the day. That's for a fact, okay? But some roads you will be familiar with, so you know that now if I speed on this road, I know there's no bump, there's no potholes and all that, but you can't know all the roads in Abuja, right? So even if you do, you just still have to be careful. It's night, so you want to make sure that it's not the situation where you go and hit one pavement or something like that. So you can't, your vision is impaired at night. Just as simple as that. Your vision is impaired. You can't see as well. I heard of this one fellow who, during the fuel scarcity era period, it was just a couple of weeks ago, he had slept overnight at the fuel station. Of course, you can't imagine that the person who sleeps at the fuel station slept well, because he slept in his car and everything. So the day after that, he went out at night. They say it was around 2 a.m. to go and hustle. So he had an accident at the Beggar roundabout too. It was like probably the sleep. There was no verification for all this, of course, but the people who were discussing it said it's possible that the sleep actually got the better of him, because, I mean, you needed to rest. Okay, so yeah, so those are some of the disadvantages of driving at night. And another very obvious one is that people are sleeping at night. You have very few customers at night, right? Nobody moves around a lot at night. So you can be very certain that whoever you find at night, or if you go out at night, don't be surprised if you didn't find a lot of customers. People don't move around that much. So that's for certain. Okay, so now apart from all that, let me talk about the advantages now. Now, if you go out at night, the truth is you have very few boat drivers at night, or Uber drivers, pilots at night. So you won't have to struggle to find customers, if at all there are any, right? And on that note, I would very much, very, very, very highly recommend that you use the Uber app at night. Not, you can also use both. In fact, use the both of them, like Bolt and Uber. But I would highly recommend Uber. The reason is because Uber has, on their platform, they can connect you to a person that is as far as 5 kilometers away. And it's quite, they don't have a cap on that thing, right? But the boat app, depending on how you set it, of course, another thing again is you can increase the boat, the reach, and which you want others to reach you. But what I have found using Uber is that the people in town, especially in areas like Maitama, they use Uber more than Bolt. I don't know if any other person has noticed this. Whenever I'm on Uber and I get to Maitama, I get more orders on Uber than Bolt. I get on Bolt, don't get me wrong. Of course, it's not just a few people living in Maitama. But it seems like the Uber thing is very much, very, very much in use over there. So if you're going to run at night, definitely please get the Uber app and use it. I'll leave my link, by the way, for the Uber and even the boats too. So if you're registering for the first time, use the code. You will get a benefit bonus. On the boat app, you will get 7,500. If you don't use it, you won't get it. So even if it's not mine, just make sure you use someone else's. Okay, use something while registering. You definitely get a bonus for that. And also on the Uber app too, you get bonus. So make sure you use a code. If you don't have anybody's own you want to use, I'm just dropping my own there, so that something for you, for us, basically. So yeah, definitely use the Uber app at night the most, but you can use both of them. It's no problem. So on your boat and Uber, and use both of them. So, but that's the major advantage of riding at night. You have very few boat or pilots to compete with. There are very, very few people. And the truth of the matter is that people at night, sometimes they get desperate. So if you are a very good negotiator, you can be able to make your case good and actually make good money at night. So that is it about going on night trips. Quite frankly, there are more disadvantages than advantages, but if you are going to do it, please be careful, right? It's not a bad thing to do, but it's safer. I once had this lady quite recently too, who gave me I took her on a round trip. Her money was around 1,000 something, and she gave me 4,000. She's like, "Please go home. Okay, you're done. You're done for the day. It's already late." She was genuinely worried. So I'm like, "Oh, okay, thank you. I'll definitely go home." And so it's actually quite scary to work at night. But if you are going to work, use some of these tips. Just know that it's not a bad thing. But The daytime is just better, quite frankly, in my opinion. So, well, do your own research and try your own. Your experience will tell you better. So that's it for this video. Talk to you later. Okay, bye bye.